After years of suffering under the iron grip of the neighborhood HOA, the breaking point finally arrived. The so-called leadership decided to jack up Malcolm Price's monthly dues, all because there were too many cars sitting in his own driveway. What Evelyn Hart, the HOA president, didn't realize was that Malcolm, a black man, had been quietly buying up properties in this subdivision for years. And now the moment had come to reveal who truly controlled this community. But would Evelyn, power hungry as ever, bow out gracefully when Malcolm revealed his secret? Malcolm Price never wanted a fight with the HOA. He really didn't. But the morning he spotted a glaring orange notice taped to his front door, Malcolm knew things had just escalated. His hands shook as he read the bold print. Immediate fee increase, $500 monthly. Violation, excessive vehicles on property. The offense? 3 cars. That was all. His sleek orange Lamborghini that he relied on daily, his wife Dana's pearl white Range Rover, and the brand new Mercedes-Benz they had surprised their daughter Kayla with on her 16th birthday. 3 luxury cars, sitting in their own driveway. From his kitchen window, Malcolm watched Evelyn make her morning rounds. Clipboard tucked under her arm, measuring tape in hand, she strutted along the sidewalks, stopping at his driveway to snap more photos with her phone. This was the 3rd time that week alone. "She's out there again," Dana called from the living room. "Maybe we should just park the Mercedes in the garage." Malcolm shook his head firmly as he poured his coffee. "No, we're not hiding our daughter's car like we've done something wrong." The garage was already filled. Dana's medical supplies on one side, Malcolm's equipment on the other. They had explained this before, back at the last HOA meeting. Malcolm couldn't forget the smirk on Evelyn's face when he'd tried to explain their situation. "Rules are rules, Mr. Price," she'd said flatly, eyes glued to her phone. "Maybe if you can't afford proper storage, this neighborhood isn't for you. Have you ever seen someone abuse fake HOA power over something as simple as cars in a driveway? What would you do if they tried it with you? What would you do if it was your driveway, your cars, and your home they tried to control?" Before we go further, what city or country are you watching from right now? Drop it in the comments. We love seeing where our viewers are tuning in from. If you believe no HOA president should get away with punishing a hardworking black man for owning nice cars, smash that like button and subscribe to Story Arc for stories that put bullies exactly where they belong. What Evelyn didn't know, what none of them knew, was that for 5 years, Malcolm had been using different LLCs to purchase homes in the development through his real estate company. It started as a smart investment, but after years of Evelyn's harassment, it had grown into something far bigger. Malcolm stepped outside to collect the mail, moving slowly on purpose. Out of the corner of his eye, he caught Evelyn pretending to fuss over Mrs. Turner's rose bushes, though it was obvious she was watching him. Malcolm's phone buzzed in his pocket. A message from his lawyer lit up the screen. "Closing complete. You now own 67% of the development." Malcolm tucked the phone away, a slow smile spreading across his face, just as Evelyn power walked toward him with her pink clipboard clutched like a shield. "Mr. Price," Evelyn called sweetly, though her eyes were sharp, "I trust you received our notice about the vehicle violation?" "I did," Malcolm replied, his voice calm but steady. "And I have some questions about the legal grounds for this sudden fee increase." Evelyn waved her hand like she was brushing away dust. "The board has full authority to implement fees as needed. Perhaps if you attended more meetings, you'd understand how things work." She had no idea Malcolm had been at every meeting for the last 5 years, not in person, but through proxy owners of the other homes he secretly controlled. As she spun on her heels to leave, she threw a parting shot over her shoulder. "Oh, and the board is calling an emergency meeting tonight, 7 o'clock sharp. We'll be discussing further measures for problem properties." Malcolm watched her strut away before pulling out his phone again. He sent his lawyer a quick message. "Time to prepare the documents. Evelyn's making her move tonight." Inside, Malcolm spread property maps across his desk. Each lot was carefully highlighted and coded, the result of 5 years of planning. Evidence, preparation, and patience, everything his father had once taught him. Tonight, the tables would turn. Evelyn wanted to make an example out of him over a few luxury cars in his driveway. She had no clue what storm was coming. That evening, Malcolm entered the community center and immediately felt the tension hanging in the air. Every seat was filled with neighbors whispering nervously. Evelyn had even gone as far as hiring a professional photographer, who now displayed images of Malcolm's driveway on a large projector screen, photos angled to make his Lamborghini, Dana's Range Rover, and Kayla's Mercedes appear like some kind of chaotic car lot. "Let's begin," Evelyn announced, banging her sparkly pink gavel against the podium. "As you can see," Evelyn said, clicking through slides, "Mr. Price's property has essentially become a used car dealership." Gasps rose from her loyal supporters in the front row, the same ones whose Christmas decorations stayed up until March without a single fine. Evelyn shifted to another slide, a zoomed-in photo of the Mercedes. "This vehicle has been in the same spot for over 48 hours," she said smugly, leaving out the fact that Kayla was home from college for the weekend. The presentation dragged on. Charts about supposed property value drops, anonymous complaints, clearly from her friends, even weather reports alleging Malcolm's cars caused extra snowdrifts. Finally, Evelyn slapped down a thick binder. "I've logged every single vehicle entering and leaving Mr. Price's home over the past 3 months." Malcolm's eyebrows lifted. She had been tracking his family's movements. Neighbors shifted uncomfortably. The room grew tense. That was when Laura Hayes, Malcolm's next-door neighbor, stood up. "Evelyn, isn't this going too far? These are just normal cars in a driveway," she said firmly. Evelyn's face flushed red. "You're out of order. You haven't been recognized by the chair," she snapped, slamming her binder shut. At that moment, Evelyn's husband, Alan, began passing out copies of a proposed bylaw, one that would restrict each household to only 2 vehicles and require every single car to be parked inside a garage. The absurdity nearly made Malcolm laugh. "Nearly. We'll now vote on the new restrictions," Evelyn declared smugly. "All in favor?" That was Malcolm's cue. He stood slowly, adjusting his tie. "Point of order, Madam President." His eyes narrowed. Evelyn's eyes narrowed. "You're not recognized, Mr. Price." "Actually," Malcolm replied smoothly, pulling out a folder, "according to HOA bylaw, section 8.3, any property owner may raise a point of order regarding voting procedures." The room went silent. "Before any vote," Malcolm continued, walking toward the front, his shoes echoing against the floor, "I think it's important that we first review the HOA's ownership structure." He pulled out a large property map. "You see, over the past 5 years, Horizon Estates has been steadily acquiring homes in this neighborhood." Evelyn's face drained of color. "And as CEO of Horizon Estates," Malcolm said clearly, locking eyes with the board members, "I thought it might interest everyone to know exactly who owns the majority of this HOA." Gasps rippled through the room. Evelyn's hand trembled as she fumbled with her water bottle, spilling drops across her expensive blouse. Malcolm set down his leather briefcase, heart pounding but voice steady. "Before we discuss these new fees," he said, "I have something important to share with everyone." He clicked open the briefcase and laid out a thick stack of property deeds across the table, one by one. Each document represented another piece of his quiet plan coming together. Whispers filled the room. "For 5 years," Malcolm continued, "I've watched this board abuse power, harass good neighbors, and ignore real issues while targeting families over trivial nonsense." The silence that followed was deafening. Malcolm tapped a button on the projector remote, and the screen lit up with images. "Here's Evelyn, measuring my grass at 3 in the morning," he announced. Gasps spread through the crowd as clear security footage appeared. Evelyn crouched in front of his house, ruler in hand, camera flashing at his lawn, and the Mercedes parked in the driveway. "And here," Malcolm continued, clicking again, "Evelyn conveniently ignoring her friend's violations, right after her son's landscaping company landed the contract." The room buzzed with murmurs. People nodded, recalling their own unfair run-ins. Malcolm picked up the stack of deeds. "The truth is, through Horizon Estates, I now own 67% of the homes in this community." The words hung heavy in the air. Evelyn shot up from her chair, knocking it over. "You can't do that! It's illegal!" Malcolm gave her a calm smile. "Actually, I can. 3 separate law firms have reviewed everything. It's entirely legal." He slid another folder onto the table. "And along with ownership, I hold 32 signed complaints. Neighbors who've been harassed, fined, and bullied under your watch." "I move to dissolve the current board," Malcolm announced firmly. New elections, term limits, and rules that actually protect people instead of punishing them. Hands shot up all across the room. David Wu from two doors down raised his hand first. I second the motion. Evelyn grabbed her glittery purse and stormed toward the exit. This meeting is adjourned. You'll all hear from my lawyer. Actually, Malcolm countered, gesturing to the stack of deeds. According to HOA bylaw section 9.3, a majority vote is required to adjourn, and I don't think you have that anymore. Evelyn froze with her hand on the doorknob. Her power was gone, and she knew it. Still, Evelyn wasn't one to surrender. Within days, she filed a lawsuit accusing Malcolm of manipulating the HOA through unethical property purchases. She claimed he was plotting to turn the neighborhood into a parking lot for his orange Lamborghini and other luxury cars. To rally support, she went door to door, spinning lies, waving fake documents, and spreading panic. Some believed her, at least until the case landed in court. The courtroom was packed when the last showdown came. Evelyn sat stiffly beside her expensive attorney, her trademark fake pearl necklace glinting under the fluorescent lights. She tried to keep her trademark smirk, but the confidence slipped the moment Malcolm's lawyer began presenting the evidence. First came the photos. Evelyn's own house, breaking rules left and right, a bright purple mailbox, an overgrown lawn, and her son's 4 cars scattered along the curb. The hypocrisy hit like a hammer. Next came the recordings. In one, Evelyn's voice rang through the speakers. Of course I make up violations. How else can we control who lives here? A stunned silence filled the room, followed by gasps from neighbors seated in the gallery. Then came the financials. Malcolm's team displayed spreadsheets showing years of mystery fees that always seemed to fund projects at Evelyn's friends' homes. One chart exposed more than $50,000 marked for pool renovations that never happened. The judge leaned forward, eyebrows arched. Evelyn tried to object, but her lawyer was sweating bullets. The final blow came when 3 former board members testified under oath. They described how Evelyn bullied them into approving unfair fines, bragged about forcing families out she didn't like, and even joked about using HOA money for her trips to Hawaii. The last piece was the social media evidence. Photos of Evelyn lounging poolside in Maui captioned, "Thanks to my rule-breaking neighbors for funding this vacation. Keep those violations coming." The judge's gavel cracked down hard. Evelyn's lawsuit was dismissed on the spot. Worse, the court ordered a full audit of the HOA's finances. She was removed from the board permanently and held personally responsible for repaying over $150,000 in unfair fees. The look on her face when she heard the total was better than any revenge Malcolm could have imagined. Within weeks, Malcolm used his majority ownership to form a new HOA board, neighbors who actually cared. 3 weeks later, a moving truck sat in front of Evelyn's house. She drove away in shame, her car sporting a parking ticket from her new neighborhood's HOA. Malcolm stood by his orange Lamborghini, watching her vanish. "Welcome to Thompson Hills," read the new sign out front, "where good neighbors build good neighborhoods." If you believe the best neighborhoods are made by good neighbors, not by power-hungry leaders, smash that like button and subscribe to Story Arc for stories where justice finally kicks the bullies out.